All set, Mike?
It's still going live.
What is this webinar is now streaming live on YouTube.
Okay, so I guess I will call this meeting of the Land Use and Building Management Committee to order. It is 7:02 on Wednesday, October 5th, 2022. I am Tom Livingston, Chair of the committee. With us tonight, we have Mr. Hubelman, Mr. Burnett, Ms. Smith, Mr. Meek, and Ms. Alterman. So we have a quorum. First item on the agenda, next item is public participation. Is there anyone signed up to speak? Mike, can you see anybody?
The only person in the attendees area is Dave Hopp from the Norwalk Public Schools. Does he have a presentation tonight?
Here's the item.
Yeah, here's an
Okay,
item.
I'll promote him to a panelist.
Okay, but nobody else?
No.
Okay. Does anyone on the committee have anything they received from a constituent that they'd like to share with the committee? All right, hearing that, I'll now close public participation and move to the approval of the minutes of the meeting held on September 7th, 2022. Do I have a motion? Ms. Smith, thank you. Are there any comments or revisions to these minutes? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Okay, it is unanimous. Thank you. Moving on to new business, school construction projects update. I don't see Jim, so Mike,
Mike and Dan is going to do the corresponding projects.
Great.
I have it. So just give me 1 second to get that open and shared. Can everyone see it?
We see the screen. I don't see anything up. I think we're looking at the YouTube screen. Of the meeting.
Dan, do you have it? Can you share it?
Yeah, I have it. I could share
Okay.
it if that makes it easier for you.
I think it's just conflicting with the YouTube live
Yep.
stream.
Let me pull it up and I should be able to.
Sorry about that.
No
Yep, let me
problem.
just get back to the beginning.
All this technology and there's still limitations.
There we go.
Can you see it all right?
Yeah, go ahead, Dan. Or Mike, whoever.
So I got control.
Yeah, go to the next one, Dan. All right, so for the Jefferson School, there hasn't been a real lot of changes since the last meeting. The balance of the furniture that came in damaged from the furniture delivery is scheduled to arrive on Monday the 10th, when school's out of session for the holiday. And that'll close out the balance of the furniture that we're still waiting for the building.
Was it a lot? Mike, was it a lot?
Maybe 5 or 10 pieces. I was there when every delivery arrived, and when they opened up the gate on one of the tractor trailers, 2 skids of basically cubby units were completely smashed, like literally dust at the back of the trailer. So we worked with WB Mason to get those pieces fixed, and then there were some metal shelving pieces that didn't come in. And I think there was 1 or 2 desks that, like, one of the drawer fronts was broken when it came. So we're just, getting those last couple items. There was, 1 teacher desk chair that broke just from use. So that was warranted and that'll be there as well. So, it's not very minor. They were easily able to open. They were all ancillary pieces of furniture that wouldn't have impacted the learning at all.
Great. Okay, thank you.
And then the only other update at the last meeting, I believe the committee was looking for an update on the solar panel installation at the Jefferson School. While, you know, I'm not directly responsible for the project, I did speak to Bill Hodel from the Norwalk Public Schools, and he's been the one overseeing the solar panel installation project. And at this time, all of the solar panels have been installed, and they're just awaiting the final tie-in to the electrical system of the building by Green Skies.
This is
So-
actually a photograph of the panels, right?
Yeah, that photograph is actually that roof there is directly over the library.
Any idea when they'll be tied in?
Bill was not in today because I think it was a holiday for the Board of Ed, so I wasn't able to ask him. When I did talk to him, it sounded like it was going to be soon, but there wasn't an immediate time. I think it may be they're waiting for Green Skies. I believe Eversource needs to be also part of it, you know, to do the switch over. So I think that's all in the works and it should be soon.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Burnett?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I shared with Bill a concern, or Bill Hodel, I should say, a concern that was passed on to me that the lights at Jefferson are staying on even during the night and during weekends. And Bill indicated that that's an issue that's being looked at. But I'm raising it here because I don't know if that's a construction issue as the reason why the lights are staying on. I see heads shaking, but
Yeah,
I'm just bringing it up here so that we can clearly eliminate that, you know, it's not a construction issue. It's, I guess, an ongoing maintenance issue that the lights stay on at night and over the weekend.
I think it's a little bit of a startup thing. I as far as after your email, actually, I sent out emails and then response to my email. I didn't copy you yet because I want to get more detail about it. Basically, from all the information I gathered, the lighting system has a very I'm not sure it's extensive is the right word, but it has a lot of controls components. It's energy efficient, so there's a lot of controls over it. It's installed. The only piece that's not installed, remote monitoring. I think that was done last week. Or I'm sorry, maybe Monday or Tuesday, last couple of days. I think it was last week anyway. So regardless, so the system is installed, and I believe it's shutting off lights is kind of interesting because I don't think the you know, depends how it's programmed. So let's say during the day that there's the sensors and everything else, you know, teacher in it. But end of the day, if the teacher doesn't shut off, I'm not sure there's a delay on it that it's after a certain time that it will shut off by itself. But I think this from Bill's comment was that I think it's the hallway is not shutting off yet. And I don't think it's a program issue. I think it's just getting used to it. I think the janitorial staff should have some responsibility to shut lights up when the way they go out, on the way they leave the building. And could also too is that there may be a system-wide, maybe there may be a timing thing on it that you know, shut everything off except the emergency light, the background lighting, after 11 o'clock at night or something. So I think it's a little bit of a growing pain in terms of learning how the system works. So I don't think it's a deficiency in the installation. I think it's more of a getting a bit up to date and training. So I guess when the public sees it and comment to us, I think that's a good thing because we're aware of it, and I think between us and Bill, we'll figure it out. But I don't think it's an installation issue. I think it's more of a user training and understanding how the system works or doesn't work, and growing pain kind of thing. So,
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Meek?
Yeah, thanks, Tom. It's just anecdotal, but a constituent reached out to me and said that the back lot where the new field's supposed to be, it looked like a mess. I reached out to Ken Hughes. He said you guys haven't turned that portion over to him yet. The contractor still had to do work. What's up with that?
The back, the lot that you can see in the photo here.
The
The
yeah,
bus
I
loop?
guess behind that, like up the hill. You know, this is just anecdotal. I'm less concerned about the mess, which I'm sure can be picked up, than when does Parks and Recs actually take that over?
I can follow up with them. There wasn't a lot of work that was done up on that upper portion above the retaining wall there. You know, we installed a couple trees, so I'll speak to Ken just to make sure that everyone's on the same page regarding that area.
Thank you very much.
I think one of the complicating thing on a project like this is this. I'm not trying to make excuses. I think what happened is that the certain area that the outside is construction fence stay as a not part of construction project. So that, and then Parks and Rec will maintain that, but they're not sure they're supposed to do it and stuff. So we actually pay money to have everything mowed and stuff. But anything new area, we seeded it. Because in today's requirement, fertilizing and weeding and stuff, it's not, we don't do it anymore. And this summer is so hot. So I think we should, I think we need to follow up. We as in construction side, we will follow with them. Maybe try them with the fall and growing season a little bit. Let's get, we will try to get the lawn to be more established so that it looks better. But it's try to establish some growth. It's very hard in the summertime, especially this year. Okay.
Can you go to the next one, Dan? I think it's Cranberry. So at the Cranberry project, the first half of the first floor building slab has been placed. The second half of the building slab is scheduled to be completed tomorrow, actually. And the structural steel work on the first portion of building slab that they poured is actually underway. This week, we also presented the furniture package, which you guys had approved, I believe, the last land use and building management meeting, to the State Office of School Construction Grants and Review for their final review. You know, it's a requirement that we present it to the state for their approval prior to going out to bid. That was approved by the state at that meeting that we had on the 3rd, and we are anticipating, from what they told us, that we'll have an approval letter tomorrow, which would be October 7th. And at that point, we'll place the project out for competitive bidding. We've been in touch with the purchasing department and are making final preparations to get that package ready for advertising. And at this time, we're probably anticipating to have the bids back and ready for your approval at the your December meeting. And then
Okay,
the next page is just some photos.
Mike, we're going to do some do the
Yeah,
time lapse
yeah.
thing.
Well, yeah. The next slide is some photos. That's just, you know, the concrete being pumped in on that side of the building, and then the steel is there. One interesting thing with this project that the school community has been a partner with us on is a time-lapse video camera has been installed on the old Cranberry School. So it has a vantage point for the students to see the construction of the project, basically, you know, fast forwarded in real time. So Dan, if you can click that link, I just wanted to show the committee the time-lapse video. So the clip that we have isn't from the very beginning of the project because the camera wasn't installed at that point, but you still get a really good idea as to the progress of the building. So, you know, when the project finally finishes, it'll be an incredible thing to see, because you'll be able to literally see the building come out of the ground and take shape. You may have to hit Control, Dan. Is it not working? Dan?
Mr.
Are you
Lee,
seeing it or not?
no,
No.
Brian, if you
Oh.
want to jump in while we're waiting.
Oh, I
Alright.
was just gonna say, if you want to send us a link to that, I think it's on the Cranberry page. I hadn't looked at that, but I hear
Can
it's
you see it
awesome.
now?
No.
No.
Oh,
It might be in
that's-
a web browser. I don't.
Yeah, it's not.
We could send it around.
Okay, I'll distribute that tomorrow. It's really cool. So, if it's on the website, that's even better because then the whole community can see it.
Ms. Alderman?
You might have to stop sharing and reshare to show us the link.
Yeah, let me try that. For some reason, it was locked into my blue beam. See if I can.
While you're doing that, Ms. Altman, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in. All three of our daughters go to this school, and I, like many parents, were really nervous that there would be noise and things like that. My daughter, who was on the part of the school that faces the construction, says they barely hear anything. And I was so grateful to hear that. They're really enthusiastic about the project. The kids say they really enjoy like the updates and things like that. So I'm really grateful to the whole team. They're doing amazing.
That's great to hear. Thank you.
Can you see it now or no?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, perfect.
All right.
That's it so far.
That's great. Is that taking it once a day? What?
It's a photo, and I think I don't know what the time frame is. They had it at one point where it was taking so many photos that the file was basically unshareable, and
Yeah,
they cut it down. So I think it's like once in the morning and once in the afternoon. And you know, that camera should stay active for the rest of the project. So as the building really comes out of the ground, you'll really be able to see it, you know, take shape, which should be really cool for the community.
Yeah, it looks like it's time stamped. I think that's every 15 minutes.
Oh, is it?
You
wow.
can see the time
Yeah.
at the bottom as
Yeah,
it
That's a lot of
goes.
photos. Brian, you had a comment?
I was just gonna say it's, I have two kids that are on that side of the building. The teachers claim it's a little noisy, but the kids are having a lot of fun with it. It's a good experience for everyone. And I sent the group a picture earlier today. They're a little bit more, a couple days, the steel's going up quick. It's amazing. So it's all good.
Yeah, and we are scheduled to have the kids sign there's a topping ceremony, which for all construction buildings, steel construction, the last beam that goes up is so we have the students sign the beam. Typically, that's what we do, and then you got to erect it. I think this week, next week, I think they're having the beam signed by the students.
Yeah, it'll be delivered this week.
Wow. Yeah,
Cool.
we did that. We did it at Ponus. I remember that.
Yeah, not to sound greedy, but hopefully in a month or two, we're asking you how you're crashing the schedule by a couple of months.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Okay. I mean, it looked amazing. Thank you.
All right. Let's keep moving.
We'll move along. We'll jump into Norwalk High School. As you know
Yeah.
from the,
Dan, you may have to share and unshare again because it's locked
Alright.
on the video.
yeah. Why it's doing that. Okay, are we back up and running?
Yep.
Right, so as you know from previous updates, schematic design phase of the project was completed back in July. We're continuing through the design development phase until December of this year. And we're continuing to have a number of meetings with different members of administration as well as facilities for their feedback as we update the plans and make tweaks to the final design. And I know there was some conversation last month regarding the entrance to the school, and to the right is one of the final renderings of that revised entrance to make it a little more interesting and break up the front of that school. Also, last month in September, there's new administrators at the high school and P-Tech. So we went to the high school with the design team and the construction manager, sat down with the principals, assistant principals, as well as Sandra, the assistant superintendent, to review the entire project, basically a top to bottom project overview, so they understand where we're at and what decisions we've made up until this point, as well as give them the latest and greatest plans where we stand and begin the conversation in coordination with them. Also, the project team is preparing to submit our special permit application to planning and zoning. And to ensure that this goes smoothly, we've had a number of meetings over the last month with planning and zoning, traffic, mobility, and parking, as well as DPW, to understand what they're looking for in that submission so that there's not a lot of back and forth. They get what they want, and we have a quick approval on that.
And just back to traffic and mobility, we actually have our traffic consultant involved in this project kind of early on. And they recently finished a preliminary draft of the traffic report. And then I think they're out there this week or last week to do further confirmation about traffic count in terms of this parent drop off and things like that. So I think this final report is due to us, I think this Friday. And then we will send it to, traffic had looked at it already once a draft report. We're gonna send them the final one. We're gonna meet with them again. And generally speaking, in my perspective, we actually on the intersection of what you call it, Strawberry and County Street, I think we are going to be actually improving the traffic condition because we're going to have two entrance and exit points instead of one right now. So right now, because we're only in County Street, what it does is that bring all the traffic into the intersection of Strawberry and County by putting a driveway entrance in and out on Strawberry Hill. We actually give parents an option and students an option to come in and build a property earlier, so they reduce the traffic volume at the intersection. So, and generally speaking, the overall population of school and traffic remain the same. So that helps actually at the intersection. We're also moving the buses onto the property, so there wouldn't be a long line of buses waiting on the street, backing up kind of thing. So, and also we're creating more holding space for parent pickup and drop off. So overall, I think the traffic report is going to show a little more positive better than what it's doing right now. Okay.
On to South Norwalk Elementary School.
Excuse me, before you move to South Norwalk, may I ask my question? I
Oh,
had my
actually,
hand raised.
Go ahead,
I didn't
sorry.
see you, Nicole. Let me just
That's
have.
okay. That's
Let me
okay.
just, excuse me, let me just have the record indicate that Ms. Ayers joined the meeting.
I was tardy. I do apologize. In the Norwalk High School, you have just expressed that you have targeted a particular group of stakeholders and have brought them up to date on the current plans. My question is, when are you going to communicate this to the larger Norwalk High School community? So we had discussions, and I want to be very clear what I'm asking about, because I've asked this question and people have given information not targeted to what I'm asking about. So we had the plans, we had the discussion, we met with the neighbors, we did all this due diligence about if it was going to be plan A or plan B. Now we are now in the stage of an architectural stage of the nuances of what this building is actually going to look like and how it's actually going to function. So the question is, how is this information going to then be communicated to the community of Norwalk High School past just the administrators of the school?
Let me try to attempt to answer the question. We met with the two principals, I think it's about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and we had one follow-up meeting with them again. And the plan is that we are going to do a presentation to the teacher population. And it's up to the principal to advise us when they want to hold that presentation. In terms of the school community, are you also referring to the student or Narrowmake? I think that there is a request from the Narrowmake PTO and principal to get information about this project. So one of the things we're looking at is to reestablish. We established the school building advisory committee. That committee kind of I don't want to use the disappear. It's just kind of hasn't been really operating at all. So we are going to reformat it and and potentially invite one member of the Narragansett School community to join us so that they have access to information regarding the progress of the design and detail of the project.
That's
And
not what I was asking. And I mean, I'm sure Merrimack, just because of their proximity to the school, would like to know how this is unfolding. I'm not talking about current students. I'm talking about parents and community members whose children will actually be living and breathing in this building. It is my position that we need to have a community conversation so people can see what this building is going to look like and how it is going to function beyond just the administrators and staff. I keep saying this and I feel like I'm not being heard. Parents and children that are going to actually be using this building are probably now in 5th grade, 6th or 5th grade. You know, if we follow our calendar, those parents need to have the ability to see what this building is going to look like because they have to send their child there. So I want to know when or if we are at any point going to have a community, I don't know what you want to call it, meeting, conversation, come look at the building. When are we going to give the community this information?
let me develop that plan together with Sandra from Board of Education, and I'll get back to you within a week and a half.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else for Norwalk High School before we move on?
Let's move on.
South Norwalk Elementary. As previous updates, the grant application was submitted to the state. We haven't heard any feedback from the state at this point. We did close on the property and take control of that, and Hatch and Bailey remains on the site for the time being. Last month, we recommended Tecton Architects, who has been awarded. We did have a kickoff meeting with them to begin the programming and schematic design. Oh, actually conceptual design. My apologies, schematic design phase of the project. And currently this month we issued RFPs for construction management, and we're prepared to make a recommendation for the qualified construction manager for this project.
Our kickoff meeting really it's a meeting that we sat down the architect to talk about. Okay, so we're going to start this project, and I think yesterday or today I sent an email to Sandra from Board of Education's assistant superintendent, so that she would, because it's not an existing school, so in terms of school requirements, in terms of programming, education strategy kind of stuff. So I had requested her to provide names of Board of Ed administrative staff people to identify those that the architect would be communicated with in terms of programming the building. And concurrently, similar to Norwalk High School, there's no building advisory committee established, and we have so we need to set that up. And also there's a strong community component that we need to establish as part of that, whether it's going to be part of the committee or separately. I believe, Tom, I think there's communication between you and the Board of Education about setting up a neighborhood site tour.
Yeah, I send a note back to Sandra about days I'm available, and I figure once we find out when they're available, we'll send a note to the committee to see who anyone wants to join us. It's basically a walk around the neighborhood. Mr. Meek?
Yeah, my question is, but most of that land there is sublet to a nursery, right? Has I don't know if it's your purview, but has Hatch and Bailey relocated them, or where are they going? That's
They don't
probably a bigger business than Hatch and Bailey by itself.
Yeah, what happened? Hatch and Bailey leased out probably half of the site to because I guess through the years they don't use as much of the property anymore for the last few years. So the nursery, in terms of utilization of the site, has grown. as part of purchase of the property and Hatch and Bailey's relationship with the tenant, which is the landscaper, Corvell Landscaping, there's some compensation made to them. At the same time, I am working with, I'm not taking the lead, but I'm involved with the law department and economic development to help them to see if we can find another site for them. It's going to be very challenging because, but we have active meetings. In fact, I think we met probably 2 or 3 times already, and I think there was meetings scheduled this week, but they canceled this. So I think it's next week or the week after. There's going to be another meeting to look at where potentially they could move to. I think there's a lot of strong interest in the community to keep this company and what they do, provide landscape material to all the landscapers in town, kind of thing. It's also they do a part of it is also retail business too. So that's why it's tricky because under zoning regulation, a nursery is permitted if they grow the material on site. They do some growing, but at the same time they also have a retail component. So it's finding a piece of property within the city of Norwalk. It's going to be very difficult, but we are actively working with it between the law department, economic development, myself. I think those are the 3 groups that's working on it. But we do not have a full responsibility, but we are helping them out.
Thanks, Alan.
Okay. Any other questions on?
I'm sorry, just one last thing. I do this all the time, right? They are under the current arrangement. They could stay there for the entirety of next year. So there's time, but again, it's not a simple thing. I went on the property probably about a week and a half ago, and I toured all the operation, understanding what they do. It is pretty extensive. It's not like it's very active kind of a selling and growing business. Okay.
All right, any other questions on South Norwalk or any other part of the school construction project update? All right, seeing none, let's, unless there's anything else on that, we'll move on. Okay. We'll move on to item B, which is the review the recommendation for construction manager for the South Norwalk Elementary School project and refer the following to the Common Council for action. Authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with Newfield Construction Group LLC to provide construction management services for the South Norwalk Elementary School project. Terms of the agreement shall include the following: A, pre-construction phase services for a total not to exceed $98,000. B, CM fee rate of 1.25% of total trade bids. C, projected general conditions fees of $1,989,552. And D, CM contingency at 1.5%. That's percent of the total trade bids. Following the bidding process, a guaranteed maximum price will be submitted to the Common Council for final approval. Account noted. Do I have a motion? Mr. Burnett, thank you. Alan?
Sure. Let me just start. Following the retaining the architect, the city or we went out to issue a request for qualification, and subsequent to that, we received, I believe, 7. There's 7. Yeah, I think it was 7.
Yep, 7 responses.
Yeah, 7 responsive, and then we met and shortlisted them to 4 companies for interview, and through the interview process, we selected 3 of them to submit a fee proposals, and from that I believe there's a detailed summary sheet behind the backup information that provide all the evaluation criterias and all the numbers we got. So based on all that information, we are the committee as well as staff is recommending that we proceed with Newfield Construction Company. There's a different component to the fee proposal. One is the pre-construction services, which is $98,000. This is their responsibility under pre-construction is working with the design team to do cost estimating, to do value engineering, constructed builder review, and also prepare the construction bid package, bidding process, and so on. So that's pre-construction services. A fee, it's the fee, that's the straight profit margin. general condition fee, it's what covers the contracted staffing costs. I believe there are 4 people involved in this during the construction phases. And also trailer costs and you know, and all the accessory to construction. What else? I mean, there's a whole bunch of things I saw listed in the general conditions listing. That number will fluctuate as we go through the project, because as we get closer, it's all based on how many months of the construction is going to take. So that's why we put down the word projected, because potentially that number may vary, and the final number will be determined after we get the bids in, as well as when we generate the guaranteed maximum price. CM contingency is 1.5%. Whatever doesn't get used, we will revert back to the city. So it's not money that it's out there and spent. It's allowance. And so when there's changes that should have been caught earlier, or you know, the deficiency in the package and things like that, we'll charge you to that CM contingency. So and then following that, so in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so after the project, after the design is finished, we go out to bid. The bids comes in. The construction manager will prepare we'll go through a scope review of all the apparent low bidders, evaluate the bid and the scope of the work, make sure they are consistent with what the bid packages, and then they will spend time put a guaranteed maximum price. Guaranteed maximum price is basically a contract amount. The word sometimes a little deceiving. Guaranteed maximum is guaranteed maximum based on the based on the drawing and stuff like that. So I mean, they still require change orders, everything else that's beyond what the scope is. But as generally speaking, the trade calls it guaranteed maximum, but generally speaking, it's a contract amount. So the Common Council will see this again after the bids come up, after the bids comes in, and and then they will develop guaranteed maximum price, and we submit to the Common Council for approval at that point. So this is anticipated that was sometime in I think January or February of next 2024. Is that correct, Dan?
Yeah, it sounds right. I don't have the.
We intend to start construction in spring of 2024. So the
Yeah,
first
March
part coming
of
back
that
in
year.
January or February or so.
Any questions? Okay, seeing that, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Ms. Sayers, Ms. Sayers, you're in favor or opposed?
I'm in favor.
Okay, so we have Mr. Meek is opposed, the rest are in favor. So that's 5 in favor, 1 against. Or is that everybody? It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's 6 in favor, 1 opposed. All right, thank you. It's moving on. Item C, review Board of Education request for the purchase of IT security platform and refer recommendation to the Common Council for approval. Authorize the purchasing agent to issue purchase orders to Blackwood Associates, Inc. for the supply and installation of IT security platform Extra Hop Reveal X360 solution for Norwalk Public Schools for a total amount not to exceed $106,639. Account noted. There a motion? Anyone? Ms. Smith, thank you. Mr. Hop, I guess this is you.
Morning. Good morning. Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's having a good night. Yeah, so in the Board of Ed, in our strategy moving forward to try to keep everything as secure as possible, we're looking at what we call an NDR solution, which is a network detection and resolution platform to help us look at threats we're having that could come from inside the network, outside the network. The device we're looking at here scans all the network devices, scans all the traffic, and reveals any sort of threats, anomalies, to give us a better insight of what's going on in the network. Nowadays, where we have every student with a device, people bring in devices, we have televisions that plug into the network, lighting systems. We just need to keep a better eye on everything and look at where we could have potential issues. And working with my team, we looked at a few, and this is the one we came up with that we think will work the best with our environment.
Yeah, I guess I had a question about how did you select this one?
We looked at a few different ones. We had meetings, did reviews, did some POCs. And this seemed to come up to be the one that's the most user-friendly. We don't have a large team, so having something that, you know, is easy to manage is what we went with.
Mr. Meek?
Thanks, Tom. Hi, David.
Come on.
You're on Ralph's team?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I guess this question's not for you as much as, and I'm a little new here on this committee. I don't understand why software goes through building and land use. Like, why wouldn't this be a finance vision?
I can answer that. The reason why we cover land use is because two things that IT purchases, including books, education books, and IT. I think those are basically two, and then construction stuff. It's funded through a capital budget process. It's not done through an operating budget. So when you go for capital process, we are Board of Eds. It's required to come to capital expenditures are required to come through the city side, which require them to go through our purchasing department to comply with all the purchasing requirements of the city. And we make it very clear, and I mean, the committee hear this from me from time to time, that, you know, when books are come to for review and purchase, the city does not have the ability and power to evaluate what education requirement, what books to buy, but we have a responsibility to make sure that the money is spent for the funded purposes, what in this case IT equipment. And the other thing is that it went through a competitive process, recognizing not everything is competitive because books are, you know, by one publisher, so you can't really buy that book from a different place, kind of thing. As for IT could be very specific in terms of a software package, so it's only limited places you can buy it from. I mean, by whoever makes produces the software package. So we recognize that. At the same time, the city would require them to go through the purchasing department to go through the lack of better smell test to make sure that, you know, it's not they just buy it from someplace, whatever interest they have, kind of thing. And that didn't sound right? Sorry, Dave.
No, I get it. That makes perfect sense, Alan. I thank you for that explanation. I guess I mean, my last question too would be more over, I guess, to our committee or who, like, why aren't we looking at this as a shared service? That does the city not have any need for this type of security protection on its side? Why is the board going off on their own? Why wouldn't this be something that would be done for all city buildings, considering I mean, I think we still have public access nodes of Wi-Fi in City Hall with, you know, unknown devices, unlike children showing up to school 180 days a year with the same phone. Why aren't we looking to build some synergy here, and instead of letting BOE go do their own IT thing?
I have some input, but I don't know what the current situation is. Probably around 10 years ago, the city created an IT committee that both the Board of Ed and the city IT department consult with. So that committee is made out of like, you know, people, Norwalk residents and people, some of the folks that are knowledgeable about IT stuff, as well as the IT department, so that there is a collaborative effort in terms of looking at, you know, if you buy this type of software, is it to the city size or board size to purchase it? I think for the year, one of the challenges we have is just sometimes it's a little bit too much bureaucracy to going through review. I don't participate in that, but I think Dave can provide you some insight into it. I don't know what we do now because I don't hear about this IT committee anymore. So it's a kind of very interesting question. I mean, is the city and Board of Ed acting independently, or are you still consult with each other on some of this stuff?
So I work closely with Rodney and Joyce in the city IT department to discuss certain things that we're doing between the two cities. We do have a collaborative system when it comes to phones and the municipal area network. But that being said, the networks are separated virtually, and, you know, we have our budgets and they have theirs, and that's we for us, we feel this is the way to move. I don't know what they're doing in this space. I can't speak to what the CIT is doing.
Mr. Burnett?
Thank you. Following that same line of questioning and thought, we just completed an efficiency study, and I would think that this would be the perfect opportunity to look at, both networks need security. There might be some economies of scale, some actual cost savings if we looked at an overall city and Board of Ed solution as it relates to security, as opposed to separating them between one network and another. So I would be hesitant to move forward and approve this or support it, I should say, until we're comfortable that that dialogue has taken place and we looked at the possibility of any cost savings in collaborating in looking for efficiencies.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. We don't have anybody from the city side here to speak. I think that would be really helpful input to have.
Yeah, if I could just add one thing, there has to be a clear demarcation line between the two networks because of our E-rate funding that we receive. The Universal Services Fund. We have to do certain things on our side of the network that the city side doesn't have to do, like filtering, we have to make sure we meet certain guidelines for web filtering and things like that. So there is a separation there, and that's always been there. That's why the two networks are virtually separate.
What is your timing on this? Do you need it approved right away?
No, we're working towards it. I think, it's a capital project for this year. So, when the budget started, we started getting ready to put it forward.
Would you have a concern if we table this till next month so we can get input from the city?
No, I don't think so. It still puts us within a good timeline to get moving forward.
Okay, I'm going to move that we table this. Mr. Holdman, did you have a comment?
No, I was going to make that motion, Tom.
All right, so I move that we table this item until the next meeting of the Land Use Committee. And at that meeting, we have somebody from the city side prepared to speak to it. So I make that motion. All in favor? Okay, unanimous. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
I appreciate that. All right, moving on. Item D, review request to amend childcare services management agreements and refer the following to Common Council for approval. 1, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute a third amendment to the management agreement between the City of Norwalk and Odyssey Learning, Inc. to provide early childhood programs in Nathaniel Ely Center to extend the term of the agreement from June 27, 2022 to June 30, 2024. And 2, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute a third amendment to the management agreement between the City of Norwalk and Growing Seeds 2 Child Development Center LLC to provide early childhood programs in Benjamin Franklin Center to extend the term of the agreement from June 27, 2022 to June 30, 2024. Do I have a motion? Ms. Smith, thank you. Alan, I know Mary's not around, so are you going to fill in?
Yeah, Mary and able to attend because of the holiday. I know some of the information, but I don't know all of it. It's the childhood program side that I don't know too much about. The things I know about is that this is an early childhood program. We get state money to support the program for all the children that attend those programs. It's a private setup. It's a company that both of them are companies that just bear with me for a second here. I'm trying to bring something.
Well, they've been providing services to the city for years.
About, I would say 5 years, 5-6 years.
Yeah.
So, and every 2 years, the management agreement get renewed. And the state require the city and them to have an agreement so that when the funding comes to the city, they go directly to them. So that we need to have this approved in order not to disrupt the children's program. Again, typically the state approved to set up the new funding every year by July 1st, but every year they seem to fall behind. So they recently did it, I think it's about a month ago. I heard from Mary that a month ago they finally sent us the paperwork that the money is coming to us. So this needs to be done concurrently so that the funding can come into the city and support these programs.
Any discussion, questions? All right, seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Okay, it is unanimous. Okay, thank you. Alan, that's the last item on the agenda. Is there anything else you wanted to raise?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Any member of the committee have
Oh,
anything?
I'm sorry. I did it again to you again. I think me and you talked about the other day, there was some communication between you and Tom and I. On the Maritime Aquarium project, I think Tom wanted me to just let everybody know that I know we struggled a few years on the project, implementing the SEAL tank exhibit and the 4D theater and the Maricat exhibit. There was some financial construction issue that came along with it. Originally, the Maritime Aquarium was involved in it. At some point, the city took over, and through some very challenging project financially, and also as far as construction, because we had dry piles in the existing, and it's get very challenging. But we finished that project, and we came. I think the budget was increased by the state to $40 million, and total, I think we spent about $40 million and about $100,000, 90 some odd $1,000. So we're like 90,000 over, and Maritime Aquarium has the financial responsibility to cover any overage. So they have given us the money to make up the difference. So it's a good story. I mean, we struggle through something that's very challenging, and it's completed, and we're happy. I just finished the financial closing on it. So I sent all the paperwork to the state, and I don't believe they're going to have any question or concerns. But anyway, so it's a project that's behind us.
Yeah, and I wanted just to raise this because, as Alan said, it was a very challenging project. The Maritime Aquarium was doing in the beginning, the city and Alan took over and worked his way through this very challenging project and successfully brought it to completion within budget. I mean, the extra 100,000 or whatever it is going to be paid by the Maritime Aquarium, but Alan is responsible for getting this thing done in a great way. So I just want to give him credit for that. More credit. All right, nothing else. I'll just ask for a motion to adjourn. Anyone?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, all in favor? All right, thank you guys. Have a good night, everyone.
Night.
Thanks, Tom.
Good night.